before project, so kind of like the in-between of projects, you would, now what they do is they basically they lay the people off, right? But back then, particularly if you were one of the better testers, and I was definitely one of the better testers, and that's not to be arrogant or toot my own horn, but I was, they wouldn't let you go or lay you off. They would basically keep you around, especially if they knew, they were 2 to 6 weeks away from being able to assign you to another project, right? It made sense for them to keep you around. Well, we're not a service industry in terms of like serving the general public, right? We weren't janitorial. We didn't work on an assembly line. You literally had nothing to do in between projects. I'm not kidding. Like, there were tasks, sure, the odd task you could do to maybe help somebody, but by and large, there was nothing to fucking do except play games. That's when we really did play games. And we played Diablo, right? But the game that we really played the snot out of, well, there were two. There was Team Fortress, the original Team Fortress, with the engineers and that. And we did a lot of Doom. We did a lot of Quake. But holy shit, did we do a lot of StarCraft. We StarCrafted the living snot out of StarCraft. It was, honestly, when I think back, there's a few nostalgic gaming memories that I have that are powerful. I have them with my Commodore 64, with my Amiga. I certainly have them with MMOs. The first time I played EverQuest, playing World of Warcraft. But at Electronic Arts, it would definitely be playing StarCraft. We had tournaments after tournaments, and we got really, really good at StarCraft. And it was LAN friendly, right? So there was a period of time, and it basically, I always looked at it as a counterweight, right? It was the payment for having worked all those crazy hours. They would also, after those crazy projects, give you time off, right? So if you worked a shit ton of overtime hours, and I did, like I said, on all those projects, they would generally give everybody a week or two off after paid. Not vacation time, paid time off. Did it come close to all the hours you put in? No. Was it necessary? No. Was it a kind gesture? Absolutely. And I have a hard time slagging EA because of my personal experience. It was a good place to work. And yeah, I like I said, so you got the time off at the end of the project, and you got time to come to work, to get paid, to play games. And like I said, we would have StarCraft tournaments. I remember literally between projects playing StarCraft probably 5.5 weeks straight. We played that game. 15 to 20 of us. We would have ladder tournaments, all kinds of cool stuff. So I definitely have good memories of Electronic Arts. Way more good memories than I have bad. We would also do just crazy absurd stuff like eating contests. Who could eat the most cheeseburgers? Furious Pete type shit way before it was in vogue. We, were all into kind of the same kind of music at the time. It was just a really unique and cool group of people, and I keep in touch with a lot of them to this day, just because, we shared something special. And when the Quality Assurance Department at Electronic Arts Canada merged with the development side, I think a lot of that magic was lost, right? If I had to point out some more negatives, the one possible, well, I won't say possible, it was evident. The one other evident negative was the way the other Electronic Arts employees viewed quality assurance. We were tight, the camaraderie between ourselves within quality assurance, but but expanded to global electronic arts. We always joked that we worked in the stables, that we were the cattle of electronic arts, and there was truth to that. We weren't viewed, and we certainly didn't feel a part of the whole. I'm sure that got better. In fact, I know it did for the people that stayed on. But you got to remember, I was only in that new building for 3, 4, 5 months. So it was still very raw at that time, right? That these programmers, developers, producers were sharing their building with us, right? So that would be the only other thing. And like I said, that definitely got better. I know it did, talking to people. But at that time, it was pretty evident. But you know what? It didn't bother most of us, but it was definitely noticeable. So, some of the other adventures. So, a buddy of mine, my best friend, he, you know when you have those moments where they advise you, if you're going to send an email because you're emotional, wait a whole day if you have to. Collect your thoughts. Think about things. If you still feel the same a day later, and here's the hint, you usually don't feel the same. Unless you feel the same, do not send that email. Far too many careers have been ended by people sending emotion-laced or, filled to the rim emotion-based emails. That had they thought about it, they probably wouldn't have hit the send button. And my buddy had a wonderful moment where he was criticizing the cook. See, the new building had a cafeteria, and we had a lot of subsidized food and a decent variety. It wasn't fantastic. It beat the old building where all we had was a couple vending machines for potato chips, chocolate bars, gum, or pop. At the new building, we had a cafeteria. Let's just say that she wasn't the greatest cook, and we all agreed. But anyways, my buddy sends out an email to everybody in quality assurance about how absolutely horrible, vile, and disgusting this particular female cook was in terms of her hygiene. And guess what? He sent it to the whole fucking company. The whole company, including the cook of said cafeteria, who about 10 minutes later, I kid not, came with a rolling pin looking for him, out for fucking blood. She was fuming, absolutely fuming and vivid, and I have never seen my buddy prostrate himself so completely, so humbly to another human being as he did that day to her. And she didn't beat him to within an inch of his life, which is a plus, but I don't think she ever forgave him. And honestly, if I were my buddy, I would have never eaten there again. And I don't think he did that often, especially if she was on shift. So definitely good times. We had arcade machines at the old building, Robotron, which was fantastic. Loved that game in the past. Still loved it then. It was already 15 years old by the time I worked at Electronic Arts. But yeah, good times. Really good times. The whole move was fun, where we basically moved the computers and set computers up at the new building, including all the networking. So there you have it, guys. I'm going to split this into about 3 parts. Just a little bit of history on what it was like to work for Electronic Arts. And there's probably stuff that I'm forgetting. So if you guys have any questions or are curious about other things, the hierarchy, maybe I didn't get into any of that in this video. I just, describe it from the point of view of your average tester. But there were a lot of politics behind the scenes too, and I don't mind answering any of that. Like I said, it's been long enough. There's no confidentiality agreement, and honestly, there's nothing salacious or untoward that ever happened while I was there. Fun stories, interesting stories, but nothing that would warrant any kind of legal involvement at all. As always, guys, till the next video, cheers.